So here we are to the 2023 ECCCSA webinar. So we'll just get some slides on screen and then we will go. So like I say, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where in Europe you are. And we even have sunshine in the UK. So I'm hoping you all have sunnier climes this afternoon. I think most of you know me, but for those of you that don't, I'm Jackie. I am the Director of Operations here at the European Contact Centre and Customer Service Awards. I'm really looking forward to taking you not just through this webinar, but working with you in the next few months on this great awards programme. And it's an absolute pleasure to introduce you to Helen Wilson, who is Global Chief Experience Officer and a channel preference at Ipsos, who's also our chair of judges. And you will notice we're very coordinated in green, which was totally unplanned, but that's how we roll, isn't it, Helen?
Unplanned or lovely and green? I'm not sure which bit.
Both.
It's lovely to be here, Jackie. Thank you so much for inviting me along today. It's a pleasure to see all the names coming in, and I'm so excited at this time of year. So hello, everyone.
Absolutely, yes. So more from Helen later. Just a few things on the housekeeping front for all our attendees today. We'll be trying to keep an eye on the chat. So if you've got any questions, put it in the chat. We'll answer those as we're going along. If we don't get a chance to answer them, then we will sort of come to them separately at the end, or we'll get back to you. So that's kind of how we are going to run the session. So let's have a look at what we are going to cover today. So between myself and Helen, we're going to cover, what are the ECCCSAs? So you'll notice I say ECCCSAs, which is your first hint into it, rather than you saying European Contact Centre and Customer Service Awards every time. We're going to take a look at the categories. We're going to walk through the process for entering. We're going to share some tips on how to write a good entry to give you the absolute best possible chance of it becoming a finalist entry. We're going to go through what you can expect from the judging process. We'll talk a little bit about the awards evening, and of course we will go through what additional support and help is available. Okay, so what are the ECCCSAs? Well, I know that I am biased, but I think they are the absolute best. I know Helen does too. They are in their 23rd year. They are the longest established. They are the largest. We are very often regarded very highly for the robust judging process. But don't just take that from me. Let's hear from some winners what it feels like to be a winner.
It is like kind of the Oscars of the contact centre world.
It feels like winning, it feels like you're at the BAFTAs or the Oscars for call centres.
And I always describe it's kind of like the Oscars of the customer service and contact centre environment. When you call to the stage and then, it's actually a really, really, really good moment.
I love that little video. I think that feeling like it's winning an Oscar is probably, the best accolade that people can say to us. So let's have a look back at what happened with the ECCCSAs last year in 2022. So very often people ask me whether they are truly European. Well, absolutely, you can see there that they are. We had entries last year from 32 countries across Europe and 320 organisations from all kinds of organisations, from all kinds of sectors, and large companies and small companies. 34 categories with 8 organisations shortlisted per category. And at the awards evening in London, those 32 countries all came together with representatives from there, and we had over 1,250 industry professionals all in one room. It was an absolutely amazing evening, and we'll share a little bit more of that towards the end. We also afterwards had a gold winners event where our sponsor, headline sponsor Sabio, spent champagne across Europe so that we could come together again and have a virtual winners evening, which was absolutely lovely. We ran the second exchange, which is where that supports our desire to improve the standards across Europe within our industry. It was a 3-day virtual event where we had nearly 800 registrations listening to 20 of the award-winning stories from the ECCCS 2022. It was hugely successful. We asked all the winners if they wanted to share their story. There was no sort of that you had to, but I was really grateful that so many of our winners did take that opportunity, and even more pleased to see so many people tuning in to listen to those winning stories, again striving to be the best that we can absolutely be. And we had more partners in Europe last year, and that's going to continue this year. And again, we will sort of talk a little bit more about that. But Helen, over to you. Do you just kind of want to cover what's new for this year?
Go on then, Jackie. So the 2023 awards and what's new. Now, what we do is we review the categories, and indeed every year what we do is we take on board feedback from the judges, the finalists, the winners, just really to ensure that absolutely everything is still relevant. And as a result, we've got 4 new categories. I'll give you a little bit more information on those later, but you can see them listed there. And just to build on your point, Jackie, about extending our reach into Europe, of course, we get the support from the association and the media partners. And so this year we're going across more countries, including Ukraine, France, Belgium, Poland, Portugal, Germany, Austria, and I'm sure I've forgotten many, many more. But for those of you who aren't clear, the associations, they're the equivalent of, for those of you in the UK, the likes of the CCMA. So it's those professional industry associations that we're talking about. So lots going on that's new. And what I wanted to do is really to touch on that important aspect of the judging criteria. So, fundamentally, it's obviously important for you to know what our judges are looking for throughout the process. Now, I guess it sounds pretty obvious, doesn't it? But sometimes you do get those entries that perhaps don't follow the rules. Very rare, but it's important to note that in both the online submission and indeed during the face-to-face judging, the judges are looking for nominations that tell that really clear story, the motivations, the deliverables, how the results were achieved, what lessons were learned along the way, how challenges were overcome, all the things that you'd expect, including what's next in the journey. But just to get a little bit more specific, I guess you can see them listed there, can't you? But let me just give you a little bit more information. The purpose, so that's obviously that clear vision of what you're setting out to achieve, but it's the why behind the what and the how. Now, the impact for me, to be frank, I think that's the most important, isn't it? It's that evidence that you've had impact. Whenever my teams come to me with a case or with a deliverable, I always say to them, but in my terms, what's the ROXI? What's that return on customer experience investment or employee experience investment or operational impact? So that is absolutely key, be that gains or indeed savings. Now, you saw my title there, I'm all about the experience. And of course, you need to explain to the judges how the customer, the employee or relevant stakeholder experience has improved. And again, it's the evidence. And you can see here some examples of how you might provide that evidence. You need to demonstrate creative, innovative thinking. We want to hear where you're taking our industry. We want to know what your plans for the future and how you intend to continually improve. Now, best practice is often a word or words that's bandied around, isn't it? But here the judges are really looking for those examples of gold standard practice. Make it easy for the judges. So if you can tell them how you really stand out from the crowd, that's really going to help you. So this is just a sprinkling of information, but of course, all of this and much more is in the toolkit. It's on the website. We try to make it, or it is, really open and transparent so you can see what the judges are looking for in your entry form and indeed throughout the process. So In terms of the 2023 categories, I mentioned the new ones, or I briefly noted the new ones, but just as a reminder, there are 3 groups of categories. So you've got operational excellence, employee experience, and customer experience. But let's just have a quick whiz through the operational excellence awards, and obviously they are firm favourites in the X's. Now, I noted one new award, which was the Best Business Development Team. Now, again, I think it's pretty obvious what that is, but just to be completely clear, that's about recognising those teams who are charged with growing the business. So not necessarily the customer service teams, but the business development teams. And let's just pick out some other examples from this category. Just to bring those to life for you. So we've got the, which ones we've got? We've got the high demand peaks, as obviously still a reality for many of you. So we've got that category there to recognise the organisation that are handling those peaks really well. We've got the Business Partnership Award. Now that's for organisations that have a relationship with, say, a contractor, a recruitment agency, a consultancy, or whatever. That's for them to enter their success stories. And so this is not for the BPOs or the technology companies, but of course we do have the best BPO partnership category too. And then another one I'm going to pull out, because I sometimes get asked about this one. This is the Most Effective Strategic Transformation Programme. And really this category is about those major transformation programmes. And, you know the ones that can take place sometimes over several years. So the big chunky programmes. So that's different from the specific initiatives, which perhaps could be entered in the Most Effective Improvement Initiative. So that's a canter through those. Now, in terms of employee experience, and I'm rather excited about some of the new awards here. The first one is the Greatest ESG. Now, in case you're not familiar with that term or collection of letters, that's about environment, social, and governance impact. So we know ESG considerations are increasingly part of how companies develop their strategic plans and roadmaps. And I have to say, from some of the evaluation I'm doing, we still see that whilst customers, consumers recognise this as massively important, some organisations have really got quite a long way to go. But we know that there are leaders in the pack, and I'm very much hoping that that's one of you out there. And I would love to hear your entries for that one. Related, of course, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is part of ESG. ESG is typically about the people, about the planet, and that greater prosperity for us all. But we do pull out that specific award for DEIB. And we've got another new award in this category, and that's specifically the Best Employee Experience. It used to be called A Great Place to Work, but actually it's bigger than that. And within that, we're looking for evidence of a supporting culture that has great processes, great culture all the way through, whether that's in terms of recruitment, about enabling people to grow, to develop, about valuing overall well-being, about great employee engagement, and so on and so forth. So two, great categories across the board for employee experience, but I'm particularly excited about those new ones. So get mulling as to what you might put forward for those. And then we've got my absolute love, customer experience. Now, we've got, now this one's going to be really interesting, because in the past, we've had lots of organisations who've wanted this category, and we've now got it. So we've got that new one of Best Customer Service into Europe. So we're looking for nominations here from organisations delivering great customer service to customers in Europe. But of course, that can be from anywhere in the world. Another few that's probably worth just me clarifying, we've got the best use of data, and that includes insights this time. So it's all data insight and the impact that can have on the customer experience. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing, so I shall be interested in that one. We've got the best contact strategy, and that's one of those strategic categories that focuses on, I guess, understanding your customers to deliver the right contact strategy. So you're talking about the channels, what are the right channels, whether it's voice or web chat or self-service or whatever it might be. Again, worth clarifying for best multilingual customer service. Now, we're looking there for customer contact operations that provide services in 2 or more languages. Employees providing the service must be based in Europe, though, but you can be providing services globally. And then in terms of the small contact centre, now that's a separate category to give small organisations the opportunity to be recognised without being nervous, although I'm sure you wouldn't be nervous about this. But of course, you know, these are awards for large organisations and the small operations. And then the best contact centre is then for those in-house contact centres with over 100 seats in one or more locations. And then the last award of the night, I'm already excited about this one, will go to the organisation with the best customer experience. And that is an incredible accolade. And so I'm looking forward to seeing the entries for that one too. But Jackie, let me hand over to you to give you a little bit more information in terms of what's coming next.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Helen, for taking us through those categories there. And like you say, very excited about those few new ones as well. So I just want to cover how you enter. I think the system is really easy and straightforward, but let's just show you just how easy and straightforward it is. So you go to the website, www.exa.com. That'll take you to a dedicated and secure nomination section on the site. You can start your entry there, and then you can come back and edit it as many times as you like. You absolutely must submit by the deadline of the 14th of July. We close at midnight and we never ever extend. I will probably say that a few times on this webinar, and I don't apologise for that. We get asked it a lot, we don't do it. So you can make as many nominations as you like, and we have got a special offer for you. So if you enter before the 10th of June, the cost will be £349 per nomination. You can have 3 nominations for £649, and then each additional entry after that, if you do the 3, would be £150. Post early bird, so after the 10th of June, the nominations will be £399 per nomination, 3 for £849, and the additional entries will be £299. So that's a change to our pricing structure to normal. We've given an early bird offer on single entries too, and we've got included an offer when the early bird ends for multiple entries. Again, that's a change to how we've done it in the past, so I hope that everybody takes full advantage of that. Just a note there that if you are UK based, then there will be VAT on there. Again, I'm going to come back to that just in a minute when we come to that screen. So you go to the enter page of the website, you register your interest, you click on the link in the verification email that you receive, and that enables you to give a username and a password. So this is what that page will look like. So again, like I say, it's fairly straightforward. And you'll see that box on the right there gives you a little bit more information. Okay, so the actual nomination process, then once you're logged into the site, you start your entry, select a category, fill in the fields provided. I'm going to show you what that looks like, and then you simply just submit the entry, add it to your shopping cart, and start however many more that you want to, and just keep adding them to your cart. But let's have a look what that screen looks like. This is the first screen that you'll come to. So the first one is the details, which are shown here. So you've got a drop down box there for the category, so you absolutely can't go wrong. It will only offer you the categories that we've got open to you this year. We always suggest give your entry a name so that you know internally which one it relates to. That's always really useful if you are doing multiple entries. Okay, so once you've picked the category, a description will come up to help you, which is really useful. And when you get to the end of each page, just press save and next screen. You'll see here there's a grey button, and you can go back and edit it at any time that you want. You will just see there on that slide as well, that little red box where it says download the blank entry PDF for reference. That's quite a useful feature if you want to share your entries internally to get feedback on them before you submit them. So just thought I would point that out to you. So the next screen here is where we will collect all your contact information. Now, the name of the company, I say this every year, but please, please, please let me stress it again. It's really important that you give us the name of the company as you want it to appear on the website, in press announcements. It's what will be on the trophy on the night. So please give us the organisation name. I know that sounds obvious, but sometimes we get limited after it and it shouldn't be limited or whatever. So just really, if you could help us with that, that would be absolutely great. The address of the contact centre that's being nominated for this category. So if you are a finalist, it's one of the categories we come to visit, then obviously we want to know where it is that we are coming. So just some basic contact information there. Okay. And then you'll get to the main body of the entry. And this is where all the questions come. And this is where you will put the answers to those questions. The questions will vary by category. Most of them are 250 words. Some of them are 500, where we're asking for quite a lot of information. So if we're asking for information across the balanced scorecard, then we will give you an extended word limit to give us that information. And you'll see there on the right hand side as well, that black button that says supporting materials. So you can add supporting information. To be honest, my advice is that you don't overload the judges. Please just provide relevant results and surveys, even videos if you like. Structure chart can be quite useful sometimes so that the judges can understand where you fit in to an organisation, especially if it's a team entry or something like that. And you can add people's names onto the entry as well if you want to make it sort of really crystal clear as to who's been involved in that initiative. Okay, I did see in the chat there somebody asking about payment, so hopefully this screen will answer your questions with that. So again, it'll ask you then here for the billing information, because we recognise that that can be different to the contact information that you've given us up front. So this is what the payment screen will look like. You can pay by credit card or you can be invoiced. If you pay by credit card, we do have to pass on that additional 3% processing fee. For entries from outside the UK, if you include your EU VAT number, then it means we don't need to charge you the VAT. And again, you'll see there on the left-hand side where you can add more entries to the cart. Okay. I think I also saw something in the chat as well about how to get the early bird. So yes, you do need to submit and pay for your entries before the 9th of June to get that early bird pricing. But remember, you can keep coming back and editing until the 14th of July. So you can put anything in those boxes, X's, to be confirmed, whatever you want to put just to get them through, but hit submit, get your invoice or pay by credit card. I would encourage you as well, because we come across a lot of organisations that have internal payment processes that can take a little while. So if you are going to do the early bird and you want to take advantage of those offers, then start them earlier rather than later. So hopefully that that clears that one up. Like I say, I think I've covered that. And I also said before that you can print your drafts as PDFs and share them internally for feedback. So hopefully that just covers that part. I'm going to hand you back to Helen because she's going to give you some advice from the judging perspective.
Thank you very much for that, Jackie. Just before I give you some advice, I'm just going to check that there were a couple of questions to make sure we've got those answered. One, can there be one entry for different categories? Is that something you could answer, Jackie?
So if I understand that correctly, that's about one initiative that you think might be relevant to a couple of categories. So if I've understood that correctly, then absolutely, yes, you can do.
And just to see if there's anything else, there's one here, somebody's just looking for support on their telephone and email sign up, but we'll give some contact details at the end to secure that kind of support. There's one which asks about the judging process, and we'll come to that in a minute. So without further ado, and we'll keep an eye on the questions just to see that they're coming through. But my advice, oh goodness, I don't very often get asked for my advice, but here we go. Right, Well, you've seen the judging criteria, and of course they're absolutely key. So be sure to check them. Again, sounds obvious, but sometimes people don't. So go through that checklist and make sure you know and you have delivered on each of them. But I guess it's about, we're all humans, aren't we? It's about telling your story in a way that's compelling. And I strongly suggest that when you create your story, your entry, that you test it out on others, and especially those that aren't fully immersed in what you do, because whilst the judges are all absolute industry experts, they don't necessarily know your sector or your company or your story. So just be sure that you're using language that makes sense to them, that brings out those true points that you want to bring to the table. So, of course, we want the overview. We want the metrics. We need that hard evidence. Be clear and concise. And Jackie made a point there about the evidence. And of course, we want all the details. We want that supporting evidence, but be sensible about it. I hate the fact when, my judges say to me, I was just overladen with material. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to assess. I had, a ridiculous number of attachments. So absolutely include, quantity is good, but make sure it's quality and make sure it's relevant. Avoid that internal jargon. You know what it's like. You all get so used to those acronyms that means stuff to us, but just again, put that external perspective on it and think, hang on a minute, would this be meaningful to somebody from outside of my organization? And really do highlight those achievements that are industry leading. We really want those gold standard. I'm so wowed when I see the entrants and such brilliant examples of those gold standards, but bring them out, be proud, show us what you're made of. We'd love to hear. And again, just banging home that point again, with the relevant examples, bring this to life. This is about storytelling. This is about providing that information in a way that we want to read it, that we get the tingles when we've read it. And that's my advice to you. Now, in terms of the actual judging process, now I've made the point already that the judges are, the absolute industry experts. When you get these judges crawling all over your entries, when you win this stuff, do you know what? It's really impressive. The judges are really impressive. That many of them are past winners themselves. They get what it takes to do what you're doing. In terms of the stages, now we've got 2-stage judging process. In the first stage, all nominations are reviewed online by a panel of these expert judges. So we use that to get to the shortlist. And then at stage 2, once we have that shortlist, we have face-to-face judging, and that's carried out either via a remote presentation or what we call a showcase, an actual visit. And the showcase visits, the physical visits, therefore the contact centre of the year category. So that includes the likes of the best new contact centre, for example, and it includes the best employee experience categories. And then the other categories, there'll be panel presentations, but they'll be virtual. So we've got a mix of approaches there depending upon the type of category, but all of them are subject to those 2 stages. And it's a rigorous, I don't want to scare you, but it is a very rigorous awards process, judging process. But then when you win, when you're a finalist, then frankly, it really matters. Now, staying with stage 2, from a timing perspective, you've heard Jackie talk about the timings at the beginning of the process. Now, the presentations and showcases, they take place in September and October. So as I mentioned, the presentations, we call upon you to present and you take questions from the panel using an online meeting platform. It's all very slick. I'm always very impressed with the organisation on that front. And then those that have entered the contact centre of the year, the different types, the best employee experience, as I just mentioned, you've got the opportunity to showcase your operation. So you're presenting it to the judges, in effect. You're enabling them to conduct interviews face-to-face. And of course, assuming you have an in-person setup, to have that in-person tour of your operation. I love that part of the process. I have to say, for me, I spend my life, because of the role I'm doing, seeing examples of great practice. And I have to say, I also see examples of things when they go wrong. But in the case of the X's, I only get to see the things that are brilliant. So I love that bit when I go out and visit with my fellow judges, your operations. I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. And then when you've gone through all of that, when you're there as a finalist, and I'm thinking back to that film at the beginning of this session, we get the awards evening, and they are, as Jackie said, they're the longest, they're the longest established, that is, they're the largest, they are the best. They are the best. And we get some fantastic, so we have me opening it, but even better than that, way better than that, we have Fiona Bruce, and we have a legend in the house. So I think Fiona's a legend too, isn't she? So Fiona's confirmed for this year, and we keep it under wraps as to who the celebrity legend is. But that will be announced on the night. But you might remember, those of you who were there, we had Linford Christie, and he was so much fun. He was such a fascinating guy to listen to. But it's a really cool evening. I have one now. This goes to show how much I love the awards. They're on the 21st of November. They're at Evolution, which is a really cool venue. Also, on the 21st of November this year is my eldest daughter's 18th birthday. But no, she has said to me, "Mum, it's okay. I know how much the X's mean to you." I think she might also be going out with her friends. But anyway, that's beside the point. I am coming to the X's beyond my daughter's 18th birthday party. I'm not sure if that makes me a bad mum or possibly a very wise mum. Anyway, looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. So you see here on the next slide, the sort of practicals around it. We've got the date. I've given you that. It's earmarked as the 21st of November. It's at Evolution. The tickets, now they go on sale on the 16th of August. So that's another date for your diary. And then we've got on this slide what the tickets price includes. So you can see you've got a really good setup there. And I have to say, it's one of those things that, when you go to these events, and they're really big, aren't they, these events often? I mean, this one's really big. I mean, this is absolutely the cream of the crop. But the meal is delicious. I mean, the drinks and everything else is delicious, but the quality of the culinary offering is amazing, as is the entertainment. Frankly, seriously, it's a really, really special evening. We'll give you a bit of a flavour of that in a moment. So that's it. We wanted to give you a little bit of time back in your diary. So I guess what you need to do now is you need to work out which ones you're going to enter. You need to get on with it. You have got time, but if you need any support, there's all the various routes that you can contact here. Jackie, clearly you can tell she knows everything, and with her team, she's there to support you in terms of making this a really enjoyable experience, something that you'll enjoy the process as well as going through the judging and indeed hopefully standing on stage. But there's all the support mechanisms that exist. Do go onto the website, do get that toolkit, because although hopefully we've given you some useful information here today, that toolkit's got the real details. And keep an eye, I see so many of you on LinkedIn, but keep an eye and follow ECCCSA. You can see the hashtag there on LinkedIn, and you'll see the information as it comes through. So it really is over to you now. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. Thank you so much for being part of this. And I'm here to wish you the absolute best of luck. We're going to leave you before Jackie and I say goodbye. Actually, I will just check and see if there's any other messages that we need to take account of before I share the video. But let me just check. Oh, we're getting some nice thank yous. Oh, that's kind.
Can I just answer a couple of that I've spotted?
Go on,
Helen.
Jackie. You're scrolling through.
Yeah. So yes, we absolutely will come to Belgium.
Oh yes, we will.
Love the chocolate and the beer. Absolutely.
Jackie, can I do that?
Absolutely, yeah. So Hans from Customer Contact in Belgium, yes, we'll have, so there's the toolkit that you can download from the website that you could send out to your members. We'll also, I think as Helen just said, we will be publishing this webinar. It will be available on the website, so you could send the members your link. But I know we've got all sorts of other stuff that we can send to your members within your countries as well. But please do let us know if there is anything else that you'd like from us to see if we can do it. So yes, George, this Zoom is recorded, so you can share it with your colleagues. I'm just looking if there is anything else. Can you see anything else, Helen?
I've got a couple of specifics. Let me just have a look at those, see whether it makes sense to answer in person. We've got one which says the small contact centre of the year needs an in-person tour as part of the judging process. What happens with judging when there is no physical call centre and agents work from home? Jackie, could you advise on that one, please?
Yeah, I think it's probably not a straightforward answer. It's probably however best you want to showcase your home working to the judges. So it might be that we decide that the judges are still going to come to your site, but it might be that you to meet sort of the management team, and then that you share with them a video or bring people in on a screen of how they are working from home. It may be that we decide, you know what, they say, there is no point you doing trains, planes and automobiles to get to the other side of Spain when everybody's working from home, for example, in which case we'll agree an approach with you as to how to do that. So probably that's a bit of a politician's answer, and I apologise for that, but we'll work with you as to what's best for you, I think is the best way to answer that. Is that okay?
It is indeed. I'm laughing here at a comment from Liam who's saying this is like being part of Eurovision. And
I'm not going to burst into gong.
Oh, go on. We've got another specific question, which is related to the best new customer contact operation award says the contact centre must be in the first 18 months of operation. Can you clarify if the full implementation needs to have been within the last 18 months, or is it okay to have started one or two of several phases?
Oh, I think we need to talk about each of one of those individually. So
yeah, so should we come back to the I've got the person's name.
Email, if that person wants to drop me an email or phone me, that's absolutely fine. But let's talk that one through.
Perfect. And I've got a name for that one. So okay, I shall make sure you have that one. We've got a question about the judges. Who are they? How many judges do we have? We had, I can't remember how many we have, but it is a wide selection of high-end judges, basically. When I look through the list, I'm going to be a bit rude. There are some awards programs where you look through the list and you can sort of tell that anybody's allowed to be a judge. In this case, that's absolutely not the case. They are vetted by the awards team to ensure that we absolutely have people who frankly are capable of judging the caliber of entries that we get. So we have a wide range of them, lots of different you will see the names coming through and you will absolutely recognize them, and they are not the same for every single award, because we have a lot of awards and we make sure that we give judges an appropriate load, whether that's in terms of evaluating them at the online stage or indeed going out and visiting.
Absolutely. And I think we had nearly 100 judges last year, and like you said, yeah, some of them are previous winners, experts in the industry, and we always have specialists if it's kind of a specialist subject. Now we sound like we're on Mastermind. Just coming to, it's a great question here about the customer service in Brussels, and whether you are eligible for the multilingual speaking French, English, Dutch and German. Absolutely. And just to sort of say that category, it's not an award for the contact centre or the customer service that speaks the most languages. It's about the best multilingual customer service. So that's, you know, it's bigger than that. It's about how do you sort of what's the word I'm looking for, sort of handle the culture, both of the colleagues that are talking those different languages, but also the customers who are hearing that in different languages. So yeah, absolutely is the answer to that one. That's great.
Question about supporting materials. Now, you may have answered this already, but let me just be sure. Can we upload a presentation with a sensible amount of text in it, mostly explain the metrics chart? Absolutely. If it's valuable supporting information, we would love to see it. If it's going to help your entry, then absolutely, please do share it with us. Jackie, have you scoured through again some lovely comments? Do you know what? I love it when you have an audience that's so engaged. I love it when we get lots of questions and
yeah,
some very nice comments. So
I think I think we've done all the questions.
I think we're done. Does that
I'm just going to answer your question, Helen, because I don't think the fact that you're going to be at the Exodus rather than your daughter's 18th makes you a bad mum. I think it makes you an extremely committed chair of judges, and I thank you for that, Helen. As always, your support is invaluable.
Oh, bless you. I'll let Hattie know that that's the case. That's my daughter. I'll say that Jackie said.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much again, everybody, for being on this webinar. So many of you. Thank you for being such an engaged audience. Thank you for your lovely comments. And I'm here to wish you good luck and to share that video that gives us all the tingles. We shall see you very soon. See you in November and look forward to receiving all your entries. Bye, everyone. I'm Helen Wilson, and as your chair of judges, I am absolutely delighted to welcome you here this evening. Now, I'm inviting you from all over Europe. We have 32 countries represented in the awards program this year. 32.
Seeing all of you here just says so much about the importance of people, because you are all about connection.